Casted Crowns Inc. Beautiful sunshine out here again with hopefully some more words of encouragement and being perceived and received as words of wisdom to uplift us all. One of the reasons for this type of messaging and this type of energy that's being put forth by Casted Crowns Inc. is there have been a slew of people who I've come in contact with over the years who've encouraged me to do things and put things out on a particular platform where many people can obtain it, where it's obtainable to the masses, it's obtainable to the community. They've noticed certain things, they've observed certain things, and they shared that with me, right? They took the time out of their day to share that with me and how they felt many other people can benefit from that. These are people who I've had relationships with from afar, and then people who I might have been closer with have also reached out to me to tell me things that they've been doing with their family or things they decided to do with their family where they felt inspired to do so, where they felt encouraged to do so, and they were sharing that information with me. And that's a beautiful thing. That's what we should want in all of our communities. And that's exactly what's going to be the backbone of our communities. And we need to defend that and we need to uphold that. I want to point out a particular story to share with you guys, which is to really see the disguise and see how so many individuals are out here taking advantage of us. And they look to exploit us either for our destruction or their financial gain, or to cause division in our households. And I was on a show, and the show that I was on, it's on a particular platform that they advertise and market that they're for the black community, and that it's about the black perspective. So this particular show I was on, there's a host and there was a co-host that particular day. The host was talking about a comment that Herschel Walker supposedly made while he was running for office. And this comment was being framed as being against black fathers. Now, I wasn't there on the behalf of black fathers. I just so happened to be present when this topic was going into. And the host was really trying to stir the crowd up to really see the error in his ways and how they needed to be against Herschel Walker and, looking for any black father to say, hey, aren't you this, aren't you that? How you feel about this? How you feel about that? Now, I don't know why anybody cares about anything a celebrity has to say. I don't know why anybody cares about anything that a politician has to say unless you are personally invested in what it is that this politician has to say. If this politician doesn't outrightly and overtly and openly represent you and your best interests, I don't know why you would be concerned with what it is that they have to say. Nevertheless, I found that there could be error in that, especially if it hit the masses and it hit people's ears. Sure, maybe. However, right before that particular topic, the host had brought up a situation of a friend of his. And this particular friend was a lady who was about in her early 30s. And at this point in time in her life, she was feeling sad about her life because she did not have a family and she did not have a relationship that was basically to show for anything. And she'd been through relationships in the past, which is common to all of us and many people, right? That's a very common story. But at this particular point in time, she wanted to have a child. However, she did not want to have a child with the other parent being the father involved. Now, I ask you, what would be more destructive to the community, especially if you're speaking on the behalf of the black community, for any would-be parent to go into a relationship saying, I don't want you around for this child's life? How is that beneficial to the child? How is that helpful to the child? How is that the proper support system and foundation that's supposed to be laid for that child? It isn't, right? And it doesn't matter who it is who feels that way, whether it's going to be the father or the mother. That is destructive, and that does not help the community in any way, shape, or form. Now, there are relationships, obviously, that don't work. Things fall apart. People go their separate ways, but that has absolutely nothing to do with going into the relationship or going into conception with that being your intentions. So that is most certainly destructive, and that'll hold the child back, right? That's not giving the child the proper tools. Now, can people do it? Of course they can. Can a child grow up sleeping outside or under a bridge? Of course they can. Can they excel in school that way? Of course they can. Have there been children who've done it? Of course they can. Does that mean that that's what we should set them up to do? Of course not, right? So we also have to understand the differences of application. So in this particular situation, the friend, however, was very open to the fact that she was sad and she wasn't confident in where she stood. There was a co-host. The co-host was a woman who was recently married. She was in her early 40s, if I'm not mistaken. A very reputable person in those type of spaces, represents the voice of many. And her advice at that point was, well, until you find who it is that you deem good, girl, continue to tap them pockets. So that was her advice. The host, however, he couldn't quite understand why I was saying to him that I found that particular point of view not a positive one, right? That's not a positive one, because we come from our parents. We need our parents as that support system. Let it be the negligence of one of the parents to separate themselves from that family dynamic. Let that be the case. Don't go into the situation with the intent that this person has no place, because that gives grounds to parental alienation. That gives grounds to self-resentment, right? Children feel many ways about themselves based off of how they view their parents, also how others view their parents. And children will take that energy and make that a part of their living. That's a part of their social makeup and their mental makeup and their emotional makeup is their parents. So if they see the absence of a parent, they're going to want to know what's going on with them that parent was absent. So if the parent that is present then fills in that void with deceit, right, to try to set the table that this other parent did wrong, you're doing a disservice to your child and your children. You're doing a grave disservice and a disjustice to them, and an injustice to them, excuse me. So, going into the actual situation at hand, if you speak on the behalf of the Black community, if you speak on the behalf of Black fathers, how can you broach any form of topic, conversation, and support it where it is going to disassociate a Black father from their child from the beginning? Now, that's not good for any father, but that was the particular topic at hand. So how are you speaking and identifying an enemy who you're identifying as an enemy when you're doing the work of that very same enemy? What you're saying and claiming that this person hopes to have happen in the Black communities and how Black fathers deteriorate, you're speaking about the fact that that should happen and that's an all right thing. No, it's not. Fathers need mothers, mothers need fathers. I mean, it's not an opinion. Can you have a father without a mother? Can you have a mother without a father? All of the exploitation is to divide the household. All of it. That's why certain things aren't marketed. Single parents are not marketed. A particular parent attaching it to singlehood is marketed. So that's an agenda. That's not a circumstance. That's an agenda, right? And as parents, we have the utmost responsibility in the world to do right by our children, to provide a foundation that's solid, that's firm, that's unbreakable for our children. That's our duty as a parent, to raise them with the principles of which you were raised with and what you decided that you're going to add on to when you decided to have a family of your own and you've met this particular person who y'all agree and y'all submit to those ideas and that ideology and that level of education, because education starts in the home, right? It starts in the home, not in an institution, not in a place that's going to institutionalize our children. It begins in the home. So if it begins in the home, what are we supposed to be providing for our children? That's the balance that children require. Children require a balance of both. The father has to support the mother has to support the father and the mother need to rear up those children in a way that they agreed to, and they need to defend that at all costs. So I wanted to share that story because that's the disguise. That's the misrepresentation. That's how we're being made to believe that somebody who you'll never meet in your life is actually a person who's against you, but yet we're against our own selves and we don't even know it. We don't even know it. We don't even realize that we're setting up the future to be at a disadvantage as opposed to an advantage. What's advantageous about trying to separate a child from the other parent? What's the advantage to that? There are extreme circumstances where some people have done horrific things where as a whole they need to be separated, but that's not the norm. The norm is intent. The norm is programs. The norm is miseducation. The norm is exploitation to get one person to believe that they themselves are greater than the family as a whole, and then the redefining of a family. So it's about their care and their needs as opposed to the family as a whole. And that is how we get taken advantage of. So at Cast Their Crowns, Inc., we're going to continuously promote the positivity. We're going to continuously promote people in the community and that are of the community to actually work together on the behalf of themselves, their children, and their communities at whole. Because when we don't have anything to identify with that's particular to us, all we're going to do is just wait around to be told which direction to go to next for the benefit of a particular agenda that does not reflect our best interests. And if that's not what you see going on today, I don't know what you're seeing. But that's most certainly what I see. And I got glasses on right now, as you can see, right? So, again, we're always going to be about that. We're always going to be about encouraging all of us to work together. We're going to be against self-hate. We're going to be against the exploitation of one another for somebody's particular gain, which only is going to harm us in the long run. And we're going to be about the upliftment in our children. So until next time, all of y'all be well. All the best to y'all. God bless.